Just wanted to welcome everyone. I'm Kathy Roeder with the Troy Area Chamber. We have Kathy Sherman from the Pickwick Chamber, and we are hosting this as the Miami County Chamber, so also Tip City as well. So we are happy to have Alex Kohls with us from the Dayton Office of the Small Business Administration, and he's going to give us an update today on the EIDL program. I'll turn it over to you, Alex.
All right, thanks a lot, Kathy. And I appreciate you guys putting this together at such quick notice. And thank you for everybody else joining today. So I'm sure everybody's pretty familiar with the EIDL program. It's been around since the pandemic started, essentially. So for about a year and a half or so. But recently we made some updates to the program. So that's what I wanted to go over today. So I'm going to share my screen and go through this. It's a real brief presentation. Let's see. Okay, so as you can see, it says effective September 8th. So it's been a while, but they only just recently gave us clearance to actually do the presentation. So these changes have been in effect for some time now. So just to kind of review what the EIDL was, this is to help businesses recover from the pandemic. So basically we offered a very low interest long-term loan. So it's 3.75% for profit businesses. It's a little bit higher for nonprofits, but either way, they're both 30-year repayment terms plus 2 years of deferment. So that's something that we did change, was from a 24-month or a 12-month 1-year deferment to a 2-year deferment. So if you look at the second point there, if you get a $10,000 COVID loan or EIDL loan, the monthly repayment is less than $50 a month, which should be pretty doable for any business. We've increased the flexibility of what the money can be used for EIDL. So it's normal operating expenses and debt, and that includes any kind of like business debt. As well as working capital. So there's a lot of uses you can put that forward. Just remember that in the operating expenses, you can use EIDL for payroll. The only time it gets tricky is if you also have a PPP loan. It sometimes gets a little tricky there, where it may affect the amount that is forgiven on the PPP, but essentially you can use it for that as well. Now this is a loan directly through the SBA, so there's no lenders that have to be involved in this, so you don't need to talk to your bank or credit union or anything like that. You apply directly through the SBA's website. So here are some of the changes that we made. So you can see, number one, that we increased the cap. Was $500,000. Now it's up to $2 million. So if you're thinking, oh geez, I already have an EIDL loan, I wish I would have known that I could get more, you can always ask for an increase. We'll just kind of do a review, probably need some updated paperwork depending on when you actually applied or when you actually received the money. But other than that, you can ask for more money. So having that increase allows companies to get more money to weather this storm. I mean, nobody thought it'd be going on for a year and a half, so that's one of the reasons why we increased the cap. The second point was applied to payment and prepayment of commercial debt, so that's something that we can do now with the EIDL. Number three, you see that we allow for 24 months of deferment. So if you get a loan today, you don't have to worry for 2 years to pay it back. You can start paying it back sooner if you'd like, but you don't have to if you're really struggling and continue the struggle. And there's no prepayment penalty, so keep that in mind as well. So if things do really turn around, which it seems like in some industries they are, you know, you could pay it back right away, and then you're just done with it. The affiliation requirements were simplified. I don't know how many people that might affect here, but it does affect some people, but they did simplify that as well. And there's, we created additional ways to meet program size standards for businesses. So it goes on your NAICS code. Typically it's 500 or less employees, but we have expanded that and created additional avenues for those companies that might be larger than that. And then there's added $10 million limit on maximum aggregated EIDL loans. So that's something to think about as well. I don't know if I've, in this year and a half, have seen any company get more than $2 million worth of EIDL as far as an aggregate across all the entities or affiliations they might have. So I doubt anybody on this call at least has the $10 million limit. So again, this just kind of shows a brief snapshot of the not only the review of EIDL, but also what has changed. So even if you did receive the EIDL before they did the 12-month to 24-month deferments, we will adjust those loans so that it does add another 12 months to it, so you don't have to worry about that as well. Now, one thing that I think is very helpful that they finally did were the requirements to receive an EIDL. It was always kind of a guesstimate on what the credit score had to be. So they have finally actually released those numbers, and as you can see, 570 is the minimum if you're looking for less than $12,000. $12,000 or $25,000 loans. You do need a higher score if you're looking for higher amounts, but it at least gives you a benchmark of where you may stand. And then again, it just kind of goes over the use. As you can see, the first bullet point under use is payroll, as I mentioned, but you can also use it for rent, inventory, raw materials, debt, not only commercial debt, but also federal debt. So the simplification of the affiliation rules, it does, as you can see, prior that they had to consider affiliation based not only on ownership, but stock options, convertible securities, and more. Now it's just changed to affiliated business. The second one was you had to meet SBA size standards, but now they have changed that depending on the NAICS code that you do fall under. And again, I don't know if I've worked with any companies in the 12 years I've been with the SBA that had more than 250 employees. So the chances of running into a business that had more than 500 employees is very rare with the SBA. And then creating the limits on the total loans to a single corporate group. Prior to the change, there was no limit, but now there's an aggregate of 10 million. That way it can be, more money can be available to more businesses. So this is a little bit more on the definition of what is a small business and the NAICS codes that they would affect. So as you can see off to the right-hand side, 500 or fewer employees per physical location and 20 or fewer locations. And that does include the affiliates. So there was a time, exclusivity time frame if you were looking for less than $500,000. There were two paths that you could take. So if you had $500,000 and then you're looking for less than 500 additional money, there was one path you could take. And if you're looking to do less than 500,000 total, there's another path that you can take. So really, you don't have to pay too much attention to this slide because everything is automated. So when you go into the portal, if you haven't already created your account on our website, and it'll walk you through it. Asks basically yes or no questions. You put in some information, and it's going to kind of guide you to the path that you qualify for. So this is just to kind of give you a little glimpse behind the screen of what's happening. I'm also getting a glimpse behind the screen because before this, I knew none of this stuff before they actually released it to us. It does help us too in the field to talk to people and get a little bit better idea of what's going on and what may be holding up an application or what may be going on. In addition, they've actually given field staff access to the system. Now this is, I can't go in and change things or approve anything, but I can at least go in. If somebody is having an issue, I can go in, look up their application number and see what's going on. I can read all the notes that they've given, and I can better help people in the field and take a little bit more burden off of the processing center. So they also gave an actual timeline, and I think a reasonable timeline for the application process. Way back when it first started, they said people would get their money after applying, they would get their money in 2 to 3 days. That has never happened. So finally they're giving, if you're under 500,000, you're looking at about 3-week time frame by the time everything's in and it gets processed and the money gets to you. If you're looking for more, it's going to take more time because there's more involved if you're looking for over 500,000. It also lists the documents that you need. So we are looking for federal income tax information, and that can be released to us through the IRS form 4506T. That was one of the biggest bottlenecks that we've had because not only is the IRS doing tax season right now, but then they were getting inundated with requests for the 4506T. And I do believe that most IRS people are like myself and that they're working from home still. So that kind of adds an additional layer of the bottleneck. If you are looking for more than 500,000, there are additional documents that we'll need, and the list for those are over on the right-hand side there. So there are a lot of resources available to help you through the process. Not only did I say after you apply, and if you feel like it's taken too long or there's some kind of issue, you get a decline letter even. Sometimes, I can go in, I can check it, I can talk to some people and figure out exactly what's going on and how to correct it. But there's also help from small business development centers. They've had training on the EIDL application process, so they can help kind of get documents in a row. They can help kind of provide some guidance to you as well. And then our website has a bunch of information. When I first get asked questions that are beyond, like, what does this mean? I go to our website because all the most current information is there. And I'm not alone in the field. That's where we all go to check the FAQs because they do try to update those as often as possible. So just to give you an example of somebody that I helped, this was just last week. This is a company I've worked with before I was even with the SBA. I was with the state of Ohio. So I've known this company for 15 to 20 years. So he contacted me, he said, hey, I have an EIDL and I just got declined and I don't know why it's declined. So I went in, looked up his application. I noticed that there were 3 applications in the business name and all of them were the same company. And they all said duplicate. So I contacted somebody at the processing center that I've gotten to know over the past year and a half. And I said, you know, can you kind of give me some insight what's going on here with this company, why it keeps being declined? And he said, well, when they have put in a duplicate applications, it typically gets marked as fraud because they think somebody else is now trying to get money through that business. So they kind of null them all because they don't know what's going on and they try to reach the company and they were having trouble reaching him. So I clarified with him which application number is the one that is the application number. He told me which one. I relayed that to this guy I know in the processing center. So he marked the other 2 duplicates, put that one on as the application, and they received funding. I think Friday was when they finally received funding. So within a week, he had all his paperwork and everything in. They were just kind of waiting to see, doing some research to see if this was fraud, if somebody was trying to steal his identity. And they figured out, no, they're not. So they ended up getting him funded within a week. So that's just one way that, or one example that I can help out to kind of clear up some of the confusion between the business and the processing center. All right, that was the last slide. So I'm gonna stop sharing now. So just in general, you know, if you have questions, and it's not just the EIDL, if you have questions about any of the programs that have been around, the PPP, the SVOG, which is the Shuttered Venue Grant, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, any of that, I'm happy to help and try to find the answers when I can. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or some issues that they're facing that I can help with.
I would say we have such a small group today. If you just want to unmute yourself and ask the question, feel free.
Yeah.
Bob, you have a question?
Yes, I'm on the board of a nonprofit.
Okay.
And right now with COVID, it's foster care. Isaiah's Place is the name of it. And a lot of the foster kids are getting COVID. Thus, the whole staff is getting wiped out. And we have kids jumping all over, wanting to leave the program, this and that. And so our income is based on head count.
You're right.
And so it's declining.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, on one of your previous slides, I thought I heard you say that the loan rate for nonprofits was higher than the 3.75, but then when I saw the slide, it said nonprofits at 2.75%. Is that right?
Yeah, I should have said it was lower.
Okay, got it.
For profit. So yeah,
okay.
when I saw that, I was going to correct myself, and I thought, well, I don't know if anybody even caught that, so I just kind of let it slide. But you caught it, so thank you.
I will go into the website just to take a look.
Okay.
And then how do I get a hold of you?
I don't know the best way. I can throw all my information in the chat, or
Bob, I can send it to you afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Tom, did you have a question also?
Yeah, I did. One was the contact information, so that's great.
Good.
and I'm actually filling in for our business manager, Erin Johnston. She was running behind today. I'm sorry, I'm with the Overfield School. So
okay.
She's running behind today, so I jumped on in her place. So that was the first thing. Also, that presentation that you showed with all that information in there, are you able to provide that to us at any kind of distribute as a PDF document or something, or?
Yeah, I don't think I've been asked not to do that. So I'll verify that before, but.
Or if I saw that you were recording this too, is there going to be a link? I mean, a link to the recording would be helpful as well. I
can provide that as long as Alex is fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, that might work better because they were real protective of this PowerPoint for some, like we couldn't change anything on it. It was, this is it. It's been vetted or whatever. And they said you can't change any word or anything. So I just left it. So. Yeah, that might be better.
Okay, yeah, the recording would be very helpful. So thank you.
Yep. Do we have any other questions? Well, if not, Alex, thank you. And for everyone on the call today, I will pass on contact information and the recording as soon as we have it. We appreciate everyone being with us today. Have a great Monday.